Record and go. Good morning.
My goodness. What's up, Coach? How's your morning so far?
Pretty good. Really good start, except for the 3 house millipedes or centipedes that I had to kill in the bathroom this morning. Yeah, so it was like the mother
Facing your
one,
fear.
and then there was 2, and it's not okay with that. But yeah, just
I love it.
And then then I got a spin in this morning, so I'm lucky enough to have picked up a spin bike during this lovely pandemic. And I just got a fasted workout this morning, so that leads me into wanting to talk about fasted workouts and nutrition around strength training. You know, what to eat, when to eat, all that fun stuff.
We get these questions a lot, and we cover all this in the signature program. We do a whole week on the science behind exercise and training and the different types of training and nutrition around training too. We talk about that a lot in the program because a lot of people don't know, and I think there's a lot of misinformation, right? So let's do it. What are some of the questions that you get asked the most often? Or where do you want to start?
Well, let's start with fasted workouts. So you wake up in the morning, should you be consuming anything before your fasted workout? Let's say if it's cardio, we'll start there.
Right. So first, I guess the real answer is it depends. It depends on the individual, depends on the goals. There's a lot of factors here, right down to, I would be looking at the individual's neurotransmitter profile to see how food impacts them specifically. So for example, for myself, dopamine dominant. So any type of food or carbs, definitely I can't do pre-workout. Other individuals who, for example, serotonin dominant, they would need carbs because that's going to pick them up and lift them up. But ultimately, what I would say is for the majority of individuals, if you have any type of metabolic syndrome, if you have any type of insulin resistance or anything like that, it's
like PCOS, diabetes, all that fun stuff.
Yes, diabetes. Yeah. It's probably not a bad idea to to train fasted. I do believe that. Now, again, mind you, you have to be careful with that as well. So, for example, individuals that are super stressed, that have super high cortisol levels, you're going to want to be careful with that because you don't want to elevate cortisol too much and further fuel that issue and fuel that problem, right? But as a general rule of thumb, what I say for most people prior to any type of training, I think it's a good idea to leave a gap of somewhere in and around 2 hours between the last meal that you consume and your workout session. And I'll tell you very simply why I believe that. Well, number one, I just don't think it's a good idea to have a bunch of food and liquids sloshing around in your stomach when you're trying to train, right? That to put it simply, that doesn't go well. I know I don't enjoy that feeling. Some people may be able to tolerate it, but number one. But then number two, let's talk about the state of your nervous system. We talk a lot about this in the course. You exist somewhere along the continuum of fight or flight and rest and digest. Right. And in an ideal world, just listen to the words, right? Rest and digest. When you're consuming food, you want to be on that end of the spectrum. So you want to be in a state of rest and digest so that your body can take and absorb the most nutrients from that food, which is ultimately what we want, right? It's, that saying, you are what you eat. It's not necessarily true. What is an even truer statement is you are what you absorb, right? So when you're in a state of fight or flight, for example, and your sympathetic nervous system is activated, your body's doing certain things. It's raising heart rate, raising blood pressure. It's getting ready to fight and defend itself. Fight, okay? Don't hit me. Or to flight, to run, to take off, right? So what the body's doing is, for example, diverting blood away from your digestive tract to the muscles, and it's releasing hormones that are going to cause the release of stored energy so that you have that energy available to you. That's not a state that you want to be eating food in, even though most of us are operating in that state often and far too much, right?
Yeah.
So I always, it's not just what you eat, it's how you eat. So you want to be eating under a state of rest and digest. And if you're training, any type of physical training that's moderate to high intensity work, let's call it, you're going to be stressing the body. So you're going to be activating the sympathetic nervous system. You're going to be in a state of fight or flight, right? So to have food in your system under that state, at best case scenario, you're not doing either really well. So you're not doing a great job of digesting, absorbing, and assimilating that food, or you're not doing a great job at diverting blood away from the digestive tract to the muscles so that you can perform.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Yeah, it's like blood gets drawn to the stomach, the digestive system, when you consume food, so it takes away from the muscles, so your body will lack oxygen while you're working out. So it's, the body focusing on more than one thing at the same time is not necessarily the best, when we're working out.
Yeah, we're always talking about optimal, right? We want to be optimal. We want to be in an optimal state. That's honestly, that's my goal, is to be functioning optimally all the time. And then, of course, you're going to get someone that says, oh, you can't be functioning optimally all the time. Yeah, I think you can. To have any other mindset is to have a scarcity mindset.
You do have a Superman mind.
I do. That's because I broke my HOP90 mug. Thanks for bringing that up. Coach Val, if you're listening, help me out here. I need a new mug.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So whether it's cardio or strength training, trying to keep a 2-hour window, basically. So I have breakfast at 8 a.m. Let's wait till 10 to work out.
Yeah, and then
if I'm eating before my workout.
If you're eating before, yeah. Now, if you're getting up, if you're training at 6 a.m., does it make sense to get up at 4 a.m. to eat so that you have that window? I'll say this, only if you've got adequate amounts of sleep. So if you've got your 7 to 9 hours and you can be up at 4 a.m., awesome. I see this far too often where people are waking up super early and foregoing sleep to get their cardio done or to get all that. In my opinion, that's like stepping over dollars to pick up dimes, right? Because when you're sacrificing sleep to get in that extra cardio session or that extra workout session, you're already at a disadvantage, and you could be you're causing hormonal disruption, and you could be further causing hormonal disruption and further elevating cortisol levels. I just don't think that's a good idea. I mean, listen, I think the ultimate performance enhancement is sleep, right? There is no pre-workout in the world that's going to offset lack of sleep. Temporarily, what you could be doing is giving the body some additional energy and focus and whatever. But that's again, you're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes. That's a very short-sighted strategy, and ultimately will lead to poor performance. It will. To do that for one day is fine, but to create a habit out of that or to do that for an extended period of time, I think is very dangerous.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't have to convince me. I love sleep. So
Yes, yes. So it's nothing can offset lack of sleep. Nothing, nothing. You can't out supplement a poor lifestyle or a bad habit, right? We know that. So
right.
yeah.
Okay. So then let's talk about post-workout.
Mm.
When should we be eating? After we have a workout? Yeah. We'll start
Yeah,
with that.
super interesting. So I believe we've debunked this myth of the post-workout window of opportunity. And ultimately, I think it depends on what your goals are.
Yeah.
There's a lot of factors here. It's not a black and white decision. It depends on the individual. It depends on their current state. We always hear, got to get in my post-workout carbs, bro. Right? So,
Well, it's hard to get rid of that mindset. I don't want to keep bashing bodybuilding, but that's just the background we came from. So yeah, it's definitely hard. We
sure.
just put that habit, so it's like an automatic thing to be like, yeah, get your rice cake and protein shake in.
Well, listen, people love Pop-Tarts, right? So they want to convince themselves of any reason to get in their post-workout Pop-Tarts.
This
And I
was
think it's
me.
crazy.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the issue is that most people do not have, they're insulin resistant. So to be consuming carbs post-workout in any meaningful quantity, if you're not able to effectively and efficiently utilize those carbs and do the right things that the body needs to do with those carbohydrates, then it's like you're putting in gas into a tank of a car that's already full, right? So I think most people could probably do without, or at least not consume the amount and the quantity of carbohydrates that they're consuming post-workout, right? And again, there's no, especially if you have any type of insulin resistance, I wouldn't rush to get that meal or those carbs in, because you could probably benefit from assuming you don't have cortisol issues. So assuming that your cortisol is functioning well, and we could talk about how you would probably guess without going and getting something like the Dutch test done, which I think is a great tool that we could benefit from. But assuming your cortisol is functioning well and all of those things, most people could probably benefit from a little extended time post-workout to stay in what's called a catabolic environment, so that the body's breaking down, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Especially if you're utilizing additional fat stores, you could blunt or stop that process from occurring if you're eating too quickly post-workout, right?
True.
Okay.
Yeah.
But again, this is why, listen, like this, literally, we could probably talk about this for 4 hours, and this is going to be a very individual thing.
Exactly.
This is where the customization comes in. This is where reading one article or one study and then applying it to everyone doesn't work. And this is why nutrition can be so confusing. Like, okay, so if you're an individual who struggles with food and your relationship with food, maybe it's not a good idea to go too long post-workout without consuming something, because then people could binge, right? And then binging and gorging on food. I had this conversation with someone the other day. They asked my thoughts on intermittent fasting, and I said, it can be a wonderful tool, or it can be, what ruins people. I've worked with individuals who will utilize intermittent fasting, but then when they do start eating, it's uncontrollable. And, if you've ever found yourself doing this, where, you plan out a meal, you fill your plate, and you say, okay, this is my meal, this is all I'm going to consume. And then you find yourself going back and getting more, and going back and getting more, and going back and getting more. that's, you know, that's not you in control of your nutrition.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So in those cases, or again, in cases, for example, with people that struggle with their cortisol or have other issues going on, I don't think that's a good strategy at all.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I
Yeah.
think they're, you know, those are the ones that those tactics and strategies could be more damaging.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. No, I've definitely tried intermittent fasting before. And I found that I did like binge at night. So it was like, I haven't eaten enough yet. So it didn't
Yeah.
work for me necessarily, or those specific time brackets,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And I've also seen in seemingly healthy asymptomatic individuals start intermittent fasting, and it causes hormonal issues for them. And listen, and for some reason, I'm not sure why, I should probably look into this more, it tends to happen more with females than males. And that might just be because with females, everything is a little more pronounced,
Yeah.
right? And it's a little more obvious because the fluctuations, the in monthly fluctuations in hormones, it's a little easier to see these things. So it might be that it's also happening in men. We just don't see it as clearly and as obvious, right?
Yeah. Correct. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But back to the eating post-workout. So this thought that, you know, you have to eat within the first hour of training in order to replenish muscle glycogen stores. We know that's not true. As long as you get in adequate amounts of carbohydrates or, you know, whatever you're using to replenish muscle glycogen stores post-workout, assuming that's what your workout did,
But what
you
about,
can.
sorry to
Sorry?
cut you off. What about protein synthesis too?
Yeah, protein
Well,
synthesis is elevated for a good 24 hours post-workout. So
okay. Okay.
yeah. So there's no rush to get that in. Again, it depends on the individual. If for example, your main dip and what your goals are. So again,
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
but I'll give examples for people. So if your main goal, if you're quite lean and your main goal is to put on size and gain weight, yeah, eat right away. Eat as
Yeah.
soon as you can.
Right.
If your main goal is fat loss and shift of body composition, and you have some additional weight that you want to lose, then you know what? I'm going to suggest that you could probably extend that time post-workout to take advantage of the catabolic hormones and the benefits there. Obviously, again, generalizing, but
For
in
sure.
general, that's pretty good. And hey, I'll give you everyone a quick tip. Ready? If you are looking to replenish muscle glycogen stores without the use of carbohydrates, so if weight loss is your main goal, for example, but you still want to replenish muscle glycogen, glutamine. In the absence of carbohydrates, glutamine can help to replenish muscle glycogen stores.
Right. Yeah. And then that comes in a powdered form, or you can get it in capsule form too, right? Yeah. And generally, we want to try to stay away from the ones that have, if they are added into a supplement that has like, sweeteners and additive stuff, we want to generally stay away from that. There is just the pure form of glutamine that you can get.
Yeah, definitely. I think most glutamine, if you're buying it on its own, just comes as a powder.
Right.
But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely good call, Coach. I mean, we're encouraging everyone to stay away from any sweeteners, colors, dyes, all of this stuff. We know, for example, red dye 40. I would steer clear of that. Wouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, right? Just in terms of, there's some nasty effects that we've seen, but let's just, at a minimum, these food colorings and dyes can act and mimic estrogens in the body.
Right.
Red dye 40, for example, is a known estrogenic. So you want a great way to cause some hormone chaos in your body. Just consume
No,
some of
I'm
that.
good. I don't want any more of that. No.
You don't need any more. We're all stocked up here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's another topic we can definitely get into.
Yeah,
Sure.
I mean, if people have questions on supplements and all that, that's another thing that we do, that we focus on, right? So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, well, I
cool,
think I covered all the bases that I wanted to touch on.
awesome. Okay, hopefully that answers some questions. If anyone has more specific questions on these topics, or we could even do a case study if someone wanted to kind of submit their specific situation, and then we could kind of talk about that here.
Good call.
Um,
I like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Also, just so everyone knows too, like I'm super excited. We already have a bunch of people signed up for our next cohort for HOP90. Starts this Saturday. Nothing to be prepared for. Just send us a note if you're interested or curious, or you want to learn more, or you want to figure out if it's a right fit for you. Or if you've got questions for any of our coaches. Just like, I hope everyone realizes that all of our coaches, we set aside time in our calendars just to talk to people. So if you've got a specific question, even if you're not thinking of joining the program, or if you're thinking of joining the program down the line and you kind of want to start to understand how to think about it, send us a note. You can go on our website and just book yourself into our calendars. So, and
Yep.
that's free for anyone. We have 20-minute calls with each of the coaches. We have a certain number that we do each week just to help people out. It's part of what we do. So just go on to the www.thehop90.com and book yourself in. But I really hope, I mean, if anyone's sitting on the fence and thinking about this program, like stop waiting. Like, I asked the question, where do you want to be 90 days from now? Actually look back to, where were you 90 days ago?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
you made significant forward progress to where you want to be? If not, call us and we're going to help. That's what we do, right?
Yeah. Spreading the love, spread the knowledge.
Right. Awesome. All right, Coach.
Okay.
Let's call it. That's it.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome.
All right. Happy Monday. Yeah. Have a great week.
Weekend. Yeah. Okay. We'll talk soon. Thanks, Coach.
Bye.